Hello, everybody. So, last night was like the first time I've had a drink in like nearly 8 weeks. So, as you can imagine, this morning, I'm not feeling the best. So, do you know, like when you're hungover and you don't fucking know what to do? Because you feel a bit shit, so you can't really. I haven't really got enough energy to go to the gym, or I'll probably throw up. So, I thought, like, well, you like don't know what to do you? And it's like, I don't really drink much anymore. So it's like when your body's not used to it, it's even worse in it. So I thought, what can I do? So I was going to stick a movie on, and then I just thought, make a lawn video. And then I thought, rather than going through the chat log or talking about some angle that I always do, why don't I just have a look at his lawsuit? Because I still have those documents on my computer. Luckily, I took them off the Church of Cod website before it got taken down. So the whole package of all the documents and letters, I've got, luckily. And there's some, like, nuggets of fascination, mainly humour. This is the reason I wanted to do this. There's a serious aspect to the lawn thing, and some of the drama I've been involved in. But, it's funny, isn't it? I don't have any moral issues with doing this. At the end of the day, this document was available to anybody. He put himself in this position where he wanted to sue NBC. I don't have a problem with laughing at it, So, here we are. I feel that excited because I've not been through this in, like, ages. And I've not read it all, because there's so much there. I don't really have the time to go over it all in, like, well, maybe I do. This is the beauty of the type of videos that I do. It's like I've said, it's a nice little hobby. It's a nice little pastime to have every now and again. Because I make these videos and people mainly like hearing about Lorne because he's a fascinating character, as well as all the TCAP stuff as well, because they're all interesting characters for the wrong reasons. But it's interesting to make these videos, and it's also nice, even when I get a little message to say, oh, I enjoyed that, it makes it worthwhile. So it's a really nice little hobby to have. It's a bit weird because when I try telling people, not a lot of my friends know about this stuff, but the ones that do just can't get their head around it. I played a little experiment, right? I was on this fucking dating site the other week, and I was messaging messaging a few, but one of them that I was messaging, I wasn't that keen on, but I was kind of talking to her. I thought, I'll see where it goes. So I thought, I'll try a little experiment here. And she said, like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, I'm doing, like, a podcast thing with my friend. I was doing one of them streams with Adam. I can't remember which one it was. And I said to her, I'm doing the podcast. She said, oh, what do you do? And I was like, well, it's a bit difficult to explain, to be honest. And she was like, oh, why don't you just send me one of your videos? So I sent her the link to my YouTube channel. I never heard from her again. But I kind of knew that there was a good chance that was happening. If I was really into her, I wouldn't have fucking done that. You know what I mean? I just thought it was quite comical. No, I tell a lie. I got one message back that said something like, I can't remember how it was worded exactly. It was something along the lines of, that is a niche, isn't it? Or something. And then, like, a roll of the eyes was like, oh, she's not impressed. But, you know what? Who gives a fuck? I apologise if you can hear me slurping. I'm going to drink a tea with coconut milk. I don't have milk anymore. What the fuck that's got to do with anything? Anyway, should we crack on? I apologise for my ramblings. Okay, so parties to the previous lawsuit. Hang on a minute. Have you begun other lawsuits in state or federal court dealings with the same facts involved? Right, okay. So I think we've already established, and you'll have to forgive me, guys, that I've not studied American law, as you can probably imagine, and I don't know enough about the legal system in America. It's vastly different to how it is in the UK. It seems a lot more straightforward in the UK. I don't mean that to offend anyone, but that's, I'm not trying to say fucking England's got a greater legal system, but it's just, I find it fascinating what goes on with the legal system in America as well, like lawsuits and the jail system and the way that the offenders are treated. So I don't know a lot about that, about what Lorne's doing here. I do know you can obviously surmise from what's being said here that he's already begun another lawsuit. I do know that he attempted it numerous times. There's probably somebody listening to this that knows more about this than me, but there's still no reason why we can't go through it and have a bit of fun. Right, okay, Warren County District Court, docket number, name of the judge to the case was assigned. So is this the previous... Oh yeah, parties to the previous lawsuit, Lorne Armstrong, defendants, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Kentucky. So is he suing the whole of Kentucky? You bastards! Tape of... ineffective assistance of counsel. Oh, brilliant. Ineffective. You pled guilty. This is what makes all this fascinating, right? Lorne sued NBC, right? And well, fucking he tried suing everybody. But here, ineffective assistance of counsel. So that is the reason. That's his other lawsuit. That must be like the technical term for it. That's why he's put it in brackets. Still pending. Well, we are still pending. How did you... It just makes me laugh because it's like we all know what happened. The judge would have read it and gone, "Is this guy for real?" But it's just so funny that he thought he could get away with it. Approximate date of filing lawsuit. Hang on a minute. Approximate date of filing lawsuit. October or November 2009? Question. No, they're asking you, Lorne. You can't ask them. October or November 2009? Question mark. He's asking. So basically, they're asking me the question, and he's turned it round and he's asking them. He doesn't. He can't even be bothered. He can't even be bothered to find that out himself. Approximate date of disposition unsure. I also did the same with my federal case, but was pro se and got turned down. It was at the same time I began my state case that I began my federal, whatever that says. Yeah, sorry for, like I said, I don't understand all this. Right, anyway. This is great, this, isn't it? We're not even like, what are we in? 5 minutes in the video and we're not even started yet. Anyway, let's keep cracking, shall we? Statement of claims. State here the facts of your case. State how you believe your constitutional rights were violated. What? Brilliant. Describe how each defendant violated your rights and set forth the dates on which the event took place. Do not make legal arguments or cite cases or statutes. Do not make legal arguments. All right. So, however, identify the constitutional rights you were rights you allege were violated. If you intend to assert multiple claims, number and set forth each claim in separate paragraphs. Right, okay, so basically what they're saying is don't fucking ramble on about various other cases and statutes in case law is what we call it over here. Do not make legal arguments. So it's just basically how were your rights violated. That's all they want to know. And if they were violated multiple times in multiple ways, list them. Number 1, injury to rights. Injury, what? Okay. On the 10th, it's your date format in the US is different to ours as well. We always like, that to us would be the 10th of the 18th month. But obviously, you can surmise it's the 18th of the 10th month, but my point is you get what I'm saying. Anyway, NBC held a sting in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Well, that's not strictly correct. So already he's already made an error within the first sentence, because NBC didn't hold a sting. The police held a sting. NBC were broadcasting a show, and it was a combination of. It was a joint effort between Perverted Justice, the Kentucky, police department, and NBC. Basically, they had involvement in that. They filmed it. That's pretty much it. And Chris Hansen was there. That's it. NBC didn't hold a sting, so it's incorrect. And had Lorne Armstrong to the Sting House after Mr. Armstrong had already told them no. Do you know what's fucking amazing about this is when he was writing this, I know he believed it. He deluded himself that much. I feel like this is back to the old, like, when Nathaniel used to do these videos about these lawsuits. And I remember listening to them and just thinking, this is great. I couldn't get enough of listening to him because the lawsuit stuff, it's like you can't comprehend how a human being can be that deluded who isn't insane. You just think he's got to be insane. But when you just call someone insane, it's a very easy way of dismissing someone. It's another reason why I find him so interesting, his ability of self-delusion. But it's not only self-delusion, it's delusion on every level. It's just, look at, we're only 4 lines in and I'm already gobsmacked. He's got the first line is wrong. You know what I mean? NBC held a sting. No, they didn't. So already he's got that wrong. Then they're saying NBC held a sting and lured Lorne Armstrong to the Sting House after Mr. Armstrong had already told them no. He told who no? He said, do you know what I mean? It's like, he's already told NBC. So what did he do? Ring up NBC and go, no, I'm not going to the Sting House. I don't think there's even, ironically, there isn't even a part in the whole chat log where he says no once. It's quite phenomenal. So, hang on 1 second. Injury to right. Yeah, so Armstrong had begun. Armstrong had begun talking to Decoy on 17th of September in an adult chat room. So he has to point that out in, like, quote unquote. He likes his quote unquote stuff, Lorne. I've noticed when he's kind of talking in his crazy YouTube channel, he often says quote unquote community or quote unquote whatever. And he does that a lot to try and emphasize certain points. I don't quite get why he's had to quote unquote no, and Decoy either. But I understand what he's saying with the adult, because he wants to make people try and understand. Oh my God, I forgot about this part. Mr. Armstrong had begun talking to Decoy in an adult chat room and tried to befriend and protect her. Oh my God. What? Befriend and protect her. It's like the videos that Crank Cinema used to do. We was talking about it with Sam Pendleton in the stream that we did last week, and he highlighted these sections like the 5 most cringeworthy moments in the chat, in the lawsuit or whatever. And this is like, befriend and protect her. Did you experiment last night? Oh my God. They eventually convinced him to go to the Sting House They eventually convinced Armstrong to go to the Sting House and was interviewed. Well, that doesn't make much sense as an actual sentence. It's not worded very well. And was interviewed by Chris Hansen before being arrested by the Kentucky Bureau of Investigation, the KBI. The events from the sting has caused Armstrong to develop depression and emotional distress disorder. Has actually been diagnosed with those things. I mean, I can understand him developing depression. But emotional distress disorder, and was placed on Elavil, then Prozac, and while at Kentucky State Reformatory, I think we say prison in other words, was placed in a special living unit to help deal with the new illness. NBC's actions from the sting on defendant's birthday. Oh, but do you see what I mean? I've mentioned this in other videos before. He says this numerous times. He points out the fact that it's just phenomenal. This whole victim mentality is so pronounced that he actually believes that what Burring, right, anybody with any ounce of sense and awareness wouldn't even the birthday thing's irrelevant. It's just because it happens to be his birthday. It's like he deserves special treatment. It's like he's imagining some judge reading it and he's going, what? They arrested him, that poor man, on his birthday? It's like, oh my God, what on right, NBC, I order that NBC that give Mr. Armstrong $50 million. You know, it's like, what? You can just imagine the judge sat there like, and then he goes to the shop and buys a birthday cake and then sends it to him and says, I apologise for what NBC did to you. This may be small. This may be of small reward to you after what you've been through, but here is a birthday cake. Sincerely, Judge whatever, you know, written on it, to my friend Lorne. I mean, what the fuck is this guy on? On the defendant's birthday, as planned by NBC, it's caused these mental and emotional conditions Armstrong now has. Oh my God. It's written in such an immature way that it's like a child has got told off for bullying someone at school, and he's blaming the teachers for putting him in like the corner and saying that they're treating me terrible. You know, the fact of his guilt has not even been mentioned. It's not even been hinted at. It's all, look at what they've done to me. Look at what the police and the NBC have done and Chris Hansen's done, and on my birthday. It's just unbelievable. Media ride-along. Okay, so injury to rights. I don't understand what he means by injury to rights, but he's pointing out here that the NBC have caused him these mental illnesses. But it says at the top, describe how each defendant violated your rights. Injury. Right, so he's saying that he's a right not to be injured, and that their actions have caused him. But it's a bit like, well, it's just the same as like suing, if you get arrested for murder and then suing the cops and saying them arresting me has caused me emotional distress, so I'm going to sue them, and they've violated my rights. It's no different. Media ride-along. Number 2. On the 18th of October, the media, NBC, was at the Sting House in the police car as they took me. Do you know what's interesting as well? It's like, it might be written in a way that Lorne's trying to convince whoever's reading it that he's got a solicitor to write this on his behalf. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Armstrong and all that. He was and all that, and then so it goes from like the third person to the first person perspective as they took me to the sheriff's department. Was that this thing goes in the police car as they took me to the sheriff's department, and at the search of my truck, and at the search what took me to the sheriff's department and at the search of my truck. Okay. Recording without suspect's knowledge. You see, already we've gone from the first person to the third person. Recording without suspect's knowledge that they would be present before signing the consent to search form. You see, I'm aware of this, and I've never fully understood what his point was here. I think what he's saying is he's pissed off that they filmed them going into his truck, but he signed the consent form to search the truck during the interview that we've seen, the police interview. But what he's saying is the media shouldn't have recorded it. Now, there may be some legal issue somewhere where they haven't got a right to film it, but who gives a shit? But I suppose it's kind of anything, any attempt to discredit them in any way is what he's doing, isn't it? Excuse me. They were not to have the media present in the police car on the way to the sheriff's department and at the search of suspect's truck. Hang on a minute. Media ride-along. Right, so that's a separate issue. So he's saying his rights was violated because they filmed the search of his vehicle. Right, that's interesting. I don't quite... They were not to have the media present in the police car on the way to the sheriff's department and at the search. Oh, right, so he's also complaining that the media shouldn't have been there in the car when he's getting taken to the sheriff's department, probably because he's crying all the way. Oh, I'd pay good. I wonder if that footage still exists. I wonder if somewhere in some data vault at NBC's archives that footage from in the car exists. Oh God, I would. Do you know, I might just send a letter to NBC, and just on the off chance, they can only say no. It cost me a few dollars to send it. Invasion of privacy, number 3. On the 18th of October, NBC was present and recording the interior of suspect's truck during the search. Invasion of privacy, but he's already mentioned this. They were also in suspect's face with the camera, with police consent during the search. Media was not supposed. He spelled that wrong. It should be not supposed. Not supposed to be in. No, well, actually, media was not supposed to be in suspect's face with camera and was not supposed to be present and recording. Says who? What do you mean they weren't supposed? Unreasonable search and seizure. It's just fascinating, isn't it? That after everything that after everything he did, the only emotions he can stir up are ones of being a victim. I suppose if you think about his character, it's really the only way that he could have responded, because the only other way would have been to accept responsibility. And he hasn't got the ability to do that. Sam Pendleton made a really good point about the sort of reason why this is so prevalent in his character. And it's because of his real underlying feel of worthlessness that he has that's come from childhood. This is why I don't condemn him like a lot of people, because it must be a terrible thing to carry around with him. And that's been given to him by somebody else. If you come into this world and you're treated a certain way by certain people, that's a feeling that's kind of given to you, really. We all have this spirit that's untouched until you come into the world. But of course, what he's tried to do before he wrote this, claiming the victim, that's kind of enough to, what he tried to do to the decoy is enough to make anybody lose any sympathy, and quite rightly in some respects. But anyway, NBC present and recording the search of suspect's truck without suspect's consent and without informing suspect. The media will be present and recording. Police were supposed to inform suspect. The media present. Blah blah blah. Right. So police were supposed to inform suspect of media being present before he signed the consent to search form, but they never did. Right. I kind of get what he's saying. He's saying that the police should have told him, but that's got nothing really to do with the police. At the end of the day, I don't understand the legalities of it, but I would argue that what they're coming from is he's committed an offence and been caught red-handed. There's no denying what he did. He pled guilty, so therefore his rights of privacy don't really exist anymore, because he's given up those rights when he's committed this terrible offence, or tried to. The thing is as well, the reason he goes down this road is because his crime is hypothetical. There was no decoy there. He thought there was, which is the whole point. It's a really... I'll talk about this in another video, but let's just stick to the points here. Right, number 5, overly intruding into law enforcement operation. Overly intruding into law enforcement operation. Oh, right. So this whole thing is aimed at NBC. So what he's saying, right? NBC persuaded. Well, persuaded is certainly the wrong way of putting it. NBC persuaded Bowling Green Police Department, or KBI, to let them become active participants in the Bowling Green, Kentucky sting operation by letting Chris Hansen interview suspect before police arrested and interviewed, and also to assist in getting footage for TV show To Catch a Predator. Media was present for commercial programming only. Wow, I don't understand what he's getting at here. Right. I think... Right, so he's saying that he shouldn't have been interviewed. But what you got to understand, what he won't understand is, he probably still doesn't know, but when Chris Hansen confronted him, he never had any legal power to keep Lorne there. And he never said as much. He said, why don't you see? He's very persuasive and clever in the language he used. He's like, he's just having a chat with him. It's just two people having a chat. There's no legal issues are in play at that point. There's no legal powers that are being utilised by Chris Hansen, by NBC. It's simply a man sat in a room talking to another man who's holding, this is as thick as a phone, but holding probably the first ever copy of the Holy Lornography. He's holding that, and he's having a chat with him, and he's asking questions. The media come out, and no legal implications really happen until he's arrested, until he's outside and the cops turn up. Now, at that point, they've got the weapons on him. I don't quite get that, but that's a whole nother... I don't want to open a can of worms, but over in the UK, that would have been very different. But I suppose, your gun laws and states and things like that are very, very different. But anyway, at that point, they're saying they've got the legal right to point a gun at him. And basically, you're pointing a gun at someone, you're threatening their life. So there's all kinds of legal implications there, and he's arrested. And that's the only point. So for him to say that he shouldn't have been interviewed is kind of bullshit. Because there's no what have they done wrong? There's two guys in a room having a chat. Lorne tried. You could argue that Lorne walking into that room, he's then committing an offence, because he at that moment is attempting to engage in sexual activity with a minor. There's no minor there really. So I suppose that does change the complexion of it really. Statement of claims. State here the facts of your case. State how you believe your constitutional rights. Oh, right, this is just a continuation. Apologies. Number 6, zones of privacy. This would be interesting. While he was arrested, handcuffed, and in the police car, NBC media was also in the car recording him on camera. Also, NBC camera was in Armstrong's face during the search of his truck. Hang on a minute. You've already mentioned this. Zones of privacy. During the search of his truck to the point that camera almost touched his face. The media was not supposed to be as close to suspects as they were. What do you... Well, who says who? Media was not supposed to be as close to suspects as they were. Harassment on unknown date to suspect, but after October the 18th. NBC Dateline put a link on their website to the two perverted justices' website, so the public could see the conversation between suspect and decoy. The conversation is yet to be removed. How is that harassment? How is that? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, fucking hell. What the fuck? This is brilliant. How is he being... How is he being harassed? Because, well, can I just point out, I don't even think that NBC did put a link on their website to Perverted Justice's website. I think it's possible. I think he's talking about, like, YouTube channels. Although there may have been someone, if someone is listening to this and they know and they can remember, which I suppose is possible. But I'm not too sure if they did, but even if they did, so what? That record legally is allowed to be there, but he says that document, people being allowed to see that document, it means he's being harassed. He's being harassed in this manner. What manner? Oh my God, that's just gold. Intentional disclosure of private facts. Intentional disclosure of private facts. On a date plaintiff does not recall, but 2 or 3 months after, when he was busted, NBC aired the segment of To Catch a Predator from Bowling Green, Kentucky Sting. On that segment, NBC disclosed parts of conversation between suspect and decoy. The conversation was part of the suspect's criminal discovery and was supposed to be confidential information. On that segment, NBC disclosed parts of the conversation. The conversation was part of the suspect's criminal discovery. I don't understand what he means, criminal discovery. Is it this discovery package he always babbles on about? Because he did ask for this information that he's entitled to. But he thinks because he was given this information that nobody else should be privy to it and nobody else should see it. This conversation was part of the suspect's criminal discovery and was supposed to be confidential information. Suspect had not been convicted of anything at the time. This violated suspect's confidential rights to confidential right to confidentiality. That's an interesting way to word it. I think what he's saying is that before he's convicted, innocent till proven guilty. So what he's saying is they had no right to publish that until he was convicted. So he's saying that, basically what he's saying is that they shouldn't be allowed to broadcast it until he's convicted. I understand what he's saying, really, because let's just say let's just say, for argument's sake, that some of them got off. Well, some of them did. Some of them. Well, no one went to court and got a not guilty. I don't think. But some of them managed to get the cases dropped. Some of everybody in Murphy got away with it because of what happened to this attorney. So I think what he's saying is that, listen, until you're proven guilty, you shouldn't be telling people that information. I do get what he's saying, because let's just say that someone was innocent, that somebody got, let's just say, because it's theoretically possible, let's just say someone was stitched up. You know, it's fucking ridiculous, but let's just assume for a minute. And then all that was broadcast, and that guy had to suffer that humiliation because, you know, let's just say someone was playing a prank on someone that went wrong. Because there were segments in the show where people turned up and said, well, my friend told me to come. That Sebastian guy from the Riverside who went with his mate, you don't know to the extent of what he was told. So I do get what he's saying, but I understand what he's saying, but it doesn't apply to him because he's guilty. He knows he's guilty and he pled guilty. So it doesn't really apply to him. So for him to have the audacity to actually come out with this bullshit is a bit ridiculous. Right, intentional intrusion on right to be left alone. Right to be left alone, is that part of the Constitution? It's part of the Human Rights Act in, you know, your right to privacy. That's part of the human rights in the UK. This EU stuff. You know, you have the right to privacy. You have the right not to be tortured. You have the right to life. All these different articles of the Human Rights Act. But right to be left alone. It sounds a bit silly. Between the 17th of September and the 18th of October, suspect Abdul Decoy, no, when she asked him about meeting in person. Decoy knew suspect's vulnerability and continued to play on his emotions and pressure him to go to the Sting House. If not for the greed of NBC wanting ratings and perverted justice being paid by NBC, then plaintiff would never have been caught on the sting. This is just, I mean, I could do a video just on this. You know, the thing is, let's just say that this person who wrote this was telling the truth. But this is so far away from the truth that it's just blatant lying. It's just bald-faced lies. There's no point at all within the whole pornography that he said no. Knew suspect's vulnerability and continued to play in his emotion and pressure him. It was consistently mithering her, saying, "Can I have your address? When can I come? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?" It's just crazy. If not for the greed of NBC. You see, the thing is, all NBC does want is ratings. That's what a TV company does. That's what they are after. That's what they want people to do. They want people to watch their TV show. And some do it through very bad means. You know, there's some fucking shit TV shows out there, you know, that are just specifically designed to get idiots to watch it. You know, and if you're an idiot, you'll watch shit. It's as simple as that. And that's just the way TV is. But he doesn't, because it's at his expense, he can't handle it. Then plaintiff would never have been caught in the sting. So basically what he's saying is, if NBC hadn't have decided to do this kind of show, he'd have been able to carry on trying to groom kids and he would have never have been caught. But his spin on it is totally different. Suspect plaintiff had already told Decoy no to the meeting until she was 18 years of age. There was no need for Decoy to continue pressuring him to meet. Do you know what's kind of interesting is, surely, right, before this was written, the plaintiff should have read the chat log and said, right, okay. But that's not even happened. It's through his own distorted version of events that he's actually writing this. There was no need for Decoy to continue pressuring him to meet. Number 10. Right, hang on a minute. How long have we done here? Oh, Jesus Christ, we've been going 40 minutes. Right, guys, I've got a bit carried away with this. I'm going to leave it there. I'll probably, depending on how, if people have enjoyed this, I'll probably carry on. Because it's good fun, isn't it? It's been a great hangover cure. But I'm going to leave it there. So please leave any comments. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, if you think it's worth carrying on with, and I'll speak to you soon.